start. My name is Kenneth Kozlowski. I'm a master's student at Oklahoma State University, and I look at grasshopper communities in northern bobwhite habitat in western Oklahoma.
My name is Trisha Doobie. I am at Oklahoma State as well, and I work with silk flies and livestock systems, composting, beef mortality.
Hi, I'm Gabe. I'm a PhD student at North Carolina State University. I study the genetics of insecticide resistance in Colorado potato beetle.
Hi, I'm April. I work with North Carolina State University, and I'm looking at native bee communities in urban areas.
Alright, so bugs in the news with food is a big thing right now. So if you could pick one insect to eat, what would it be and how would you cook it or serve it?
I don't know. I would probably eat grasshoppers just because I look at them all the time and I'm tired of identifying them. So maybe to get some revenge, I would just eat one. Just raw, just from the ground, I would just pick it up and eat it.
Sushi style, right?
Yeah.
We were just talking about this.
Actually, in my undergrad college, a student before me started a club called Edible, the environmental discourses on the ingestions of Bugsley, and I became president of that. So we had an event where we had David George Gordon come, and he cooked us tarantula, scorpion, grasshoppers, cockroach, and crickets.
Did you try all of them?
I was unfortunate to not try the scorpion, but I did try everything else.
How was the tarantula?
Really good. It was the best. It tastes like shrimp.
Really?
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
My-
I believe that.
It was good. You have to set it on fire first to get all the hairs off. So it's kind of fun to watch.
Okay. Alright.
Good presentation. Alright, so what is your favorite and or least favorite bug?
Favorite bug? Favorite bug and least favorite bug?
and or least favorite.
I don't know. I don't have any least favorite ones, but there are just certain grasshoppers. Again, I'm sorry. Certain grasshoppers I like, but I also really like spider wasps. It's just really pretty and they are a little frightening. So maybe I'm afraid to get stung. So I'll say that that's maybe my both favorite and least favorite, just for fear. Yeah.
Tree hoppers, hands down, are my favorite.
I think,
I don't really care for mayflies because they're annoying, but they're not that bad. I don't have a least favorite. I kind of like them all.
yeah. My absolute least favorite are like mosquitoes as an entity. I did because I did a research project on them, and they just when they escape, they feed on you, and it's awful and terrible. But my favorite is the telephone pole beetle, which has this like crazy life cycle, and there's like 30 papers on it in like the last 150 years because nobody cares about it. But it's like so insane. I won't go into like how insane its life cycle is, but basically it can essentially like recycle through like juvenile life stages more or less indefinitely as far as we know. And like if you get a male, it like actually eats the mom, and that's the only food it ever eats its entire life. And it's totally crazy and weird and awesome. So yeah, the telephone pole beetle. I can go into more of it later.
Well, I love bees, of course. I think my favorite is halictids because I like how if you're really sweaty, they'll come and lick sweat off of you, almost like giving you little kisses. And
That's a great
least favorite? I don't know. I guess I would have to say butterflies because if people don't know anything about insects, it's the only one they like.
That's like a really hipstery response. It's like, oh yeah, I've heard of that bug. Yeah, whatever. I was into them before you knew what they were. I'm joking.
Alright, so if bugs are planning, or actually not planning, in the process of taking over the world, like destroying cities, like burning them to the ground, would you be on the bug side and fight against the humans, or would you be part of the human resistance fighting against the bugs?
We should be a collaborator is the real question. Like, let's go ahead.
Would they accept us as,
Well, maybe
like I guess fellow?
well, maybe like the
honorary
harvester
bugs.
ants or something, because like they're into like agriculture and like exploiting other things. I don't know. What are the bugs that like
It depends on the bugs that you choose to take over the world. How about your study
So there's
system?
grasshoppers. Like,
How about your study system? If your study system takes over the world, would you be on their side?
I would probably be first to go. Because they'd probably, like, I'd be collecting them, you know, because all they do is collect grasshoppers all day. And so they'd probably just swarm over me first.
Yeah.
And then I would probably just be eaten alive. So I wouldn't have a choice.
yeah.
I'd be,
Already kind of run the show. So
right.
it's far off. But what happens when they've taken over and then now we're all that's left and we were helping them, but they're gonna need to move on.
Yeah,
eventually.
well, what they're gonna
I feel like
do-
it's not a good alliance to me.
Yeah, it's probably not a good idea. I don't know, because I imagine like, so I was like, trying to think through it logically. I'm guessing it'd probably be like some sort of eusocial insect that would take over. So like, I mean, it's gonna be like ant or wasp or something. And like wasps would be awful because they probably like just you collaborate, and then when like you're not good at whatever you're doing, they like seal you in some sort of like cell, and like the larvae emerges and like eats you alive. It'd be like awful. Like F that. No, excuse me. Forget that. Like,
That's the F word.
yeah, that's the F word. I was thinking of.
It's okay. You could say forget.
Okay, fair enough. So I swear like a sailor, so I'm doing my best right now.
They'll edit you out.
They'll edit that part out.
I'd have to say I'd just let the bugs let them do their thing.
You wouldn't like actively fight against them, just like, okay, I'm just gonna let
Like,
you think, whatever.
I mean, if we won and all the bugs are gone, I don't think we'd live anyway.
Yeah.
What a bee response.
All right. So if you could be a bug superhero or bug supervillain, what would you be? And what would you do as a superhero or supervillain?
Oh no. I don't know. Like a new, not one of like the existing
Like you can't be
ones.
Ant-Man. Like
Can't
that
be
like
Ant-Man.
already exists.
Yeah.
Can't be, okay.
Can't be the
New
tick.
superhero, new supervillain.
Can't be the tick, darn it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably something with water, like a water strider or something. I'm terrified of water and I don't swim.
The water scorpion.
That'd be great. Yeah. So I would probably just want to like, if I'm gonna be a superhero or something, probably have a superpower that would get me over that fear, because that'd probably be,
Yeah.
my enemies would use that against me, likely. So that's my answer.
I don't know.
Oh man, it's a really good. I'd probably be like, you know, the assassin bug man. Like, so I assume like when he's the assassin bug man person, dude, like you'd probably have like ninja powers as well as like your awesome ability to like eat people like Capri Suns or something like that. Like, so I guess that'd be what I would do. And would I use it for good or evil? I don't know. I guess like I would use it to smash the state or whatever. Whether that's good or evil, you know, depends on how.
What are the good applications to that?
Of smashing the state?
To eating people like
I don't know.
Capri Sun.
I don't know. I guess.
Robbers, I don't know.
Yeah, you eat robbers, or if you're like trying to smash the state, like you're smashing like corrupt CEOs or something. I don't know. I'd be like SEC man. That's also
Okay,
happens an
yeah.
assassin bug as well, or whatever. I don't know.
I'd find that comic.
That's a good question, though. That's a
It's a good
tough one.
icebreaker question.
Yeah.
All right. What was the most interesting talk that you have seen so far?
I saw a really interesting talk about lady beetles and their. I'm gonna mess. I'm not gonna do the talk justice, but it was written. I know. I feel bad, but it was incredibly interesting how lady beetles in colony need some sort of foliage to actually survive in colony for some reason, and they're still, I guess, figuring out the mechanisms of it. But they found that it was really only the males. If the males didn't have some form of foliage to eat, then the colony just collapsed, and they weren't able to raise these lady beetles. I thought that was really interesting. Yeah.
We had meetings all morning and then our talks to watch, so I haven't really seen many of
Well, you
them.
can say my talk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You
can say it's
fine, yeah, that was-
It was actually really interesting. So
Thank you very much.
I vote for Kenneth's talk.
Oh man, so there's So yesterday afternoon, I went to see Doug Fatuma speak, and he like wrote the book on like the most recent book it's used in like all the evolution classes, and he was totally awesome. And mainly because the guy who organized the symposium, he like basically addressed him. He's like, 30 years ago, you were totally right on the thing that I said you were totally wrong about, but like not completely right. Like I'm not gonna let you get away with being like. But yeah, that was a whole lot of fun because it's just a weird two old guys like yelling at each other kind of situation. So it's totally awesome. And there's substance to his talk as well about like allopatric versus sympatric speciation. That's totally jargony, and I'm sure you're gonna want to hear that on the thing.
Well, of course, one of the most interesting talks I thought was about bees. They talked about how wild bees, there was actually evidence they showed. So normally somebody say, well, wild bees are just as good or better than honeybees at pollinating, but no, I haven't seen evidence, it's just like a statement. But this showed evidence about how wild bee populations continuously are able to pollinate different habitats, whereas honeybees it's more variable. And then, but of course they're important too. And then there's one really good one too about dunes, and then how the hurricane struck the dunes and how human impact cleaning up the dunes and rebuilding has affected ant species. So it really changed ant species, and they were completely different, and they haven't recovered over 3 years, and that's kind of a long time. Really interesting.
Do you guys have a favorite for the Linnaean games that you're rooting on?
Oh, well.
Of course.
It used to be our own favorite.
Yeah, we were in it and then we didn't win. So,
Yeah, we're still in it. We
say
crushed Texas A&M, crushed them.
Yeah.
So NC State all the way.
We'll root for you guys.
Thank you.
yeah, because you're sitting right there.
Well, also because
But
the other
Texas
thing is,
A&M.
And that other guy, that one guy's an animal.
yeah. Well, and also a good reason to root for NC State is they asked a question about, so there's these moths that apparently can emit like sonic noises to like disrupt bat echolocation, and they're like, oh, and what body part do they use to make that noise? And our response was their wieners, but like they didn't say that super loud, but it was correct.
It was. I remember that.
Alright, well thank you.
Thank you.
Please put in their wieners.
That's the only thing.
Cut that out and make
That
the
was key.
montage.
They were like, what do they use? And he's just like, their wieners? And like, whereas like he like had all these great technical responses to everything else, like the exact body part name. It was so great.